Yeah. Right? And I'm not playing no games. Yeah.
Hey, I'm Pops, and I want to talk to you about Thin Blue Line. So we're going to talk about that. Mike Barron's comic book finally got mine. Finally got my chance to get through it all. Have the different covers here for you. The one that's up on the screen, the one I'm holding, I have different covers, that kind of thing. So I'm going to kind of flip through a little bit. Actually, let me put that back up. Let's see. Put this back up. Here we go. Make it a little smaller though. There we go. No, I'll put it back. So the story is hardcore cutting police drama and action set right now within the last 2 years. So there's references to protests, defund the police. Basically, it's Antifa. It's set, a lot of it's set, I think, in Portland or near there. There's allusions to like someone bankrolling protesters. Just incredible realism that Mike this is what he made his Punisher run so great, because it felt like you were really there in the middle of this street gang violence and mafioso stuff the Punisher was set in. And this is the same kind of approach where he has the protagonist as these incredibly brave, smart, and talented police officers. So, but just as though I would criticize some of the modern day comic books for having politics, Mike also has a lot of politics. This is not a book that is an escapism. It's not a superhero thing or anything like that. This is very, very grounded in the real world and really stuff that's really, really going on. Joe Arnold did the artwork. Jeff Slemons does the ink work. Book's great. Moves super fast. With some great pinups and stuff in the back. So let me just give you just a couple quick shots, couple quick panels that I wanted to kind of show you. Just a let's see, and it's basically it's a mother. She's with her daughter. Got to go out to work. You know, the different police officers she's going to be going out with. And they're in the middle of just political unrest of like summer of 2020, basically, right? So here you have protests in the streets, the protest, free healthcare for all, no such thing as an illegal human being, right? Then you have this sort of like they're going to there's a mispronoun comment right there, by the way, which is great. They're going to have this mayor come up. He thinks he's their friend, right? He comes up. And he's like, yeah, listen, I'm your buddy. We did this. We're going to do. They're like, get off the stage. You're part of the problem. And then the police officers are attacked. They can barely hold the ranks. They're trying to protect the mayor and get him out. And that's kind of how the action begins. And there's basically like chase sequence and where they get trapped, what they do. And there's great cutaways to the daughter who's, afraid. It's her mom out there. Right. So you get sort of all these different angles of the different police angles. You get, what it's like to have be the family member of one of these officers, the politics and some of the stuff that's happening. So it's a great capture of basically the summer of 2020, the summer of love, right? The mostly peaceful protests. I'm going to go a little further into spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, feel free to step out and come back and tell me what you think if you think I was right. Because it turns very violent. They can't get away in time. The partner is a black police officer, and they basically pull him out and murder him. So it's hardcore. Mike and the team are not going to pull any punches. Then of course these Antifa thugs, this is the Antifa thug, and they're confronted by an actual gang members. And it's very realistic, to be honest. Covering some of these news stories when they were happening, the little soy boy Antifa guy, I think I'm a college student. I left Creighton. I quit my major. His major is social justice with a minor in critical race theory. And I just kind of laughed out loud. And basically, the gangbanger just pops him. just like, boom, done. You're not one of us. You're just a pretender. Guys, for so many of us said this when this was happening. These people are like cosplaying. They're cosplaying social justice and fixing things. Yeah. And look at this mayor. He thinks he's down with the people. Look at this white guy like he's supposed to be. It's so freaking great. I love it. What does he says? Something about I'm going to contribute to the cause and stuff like that. There was a shot, by the way, of when he's in the police car. He's supposed to be calling his wife. He also calls the mistress. And there's this scene about where he's basically just being honest. Like, I have to just play this game, and he's trying to convince the police. Like, you don't believe I'm going to defund the police. Notice how the cops, everyone's motionless. Like, yeah, it's pretty freaking great. Some pretty decent stuff. That's very real, very grounded. How to stay safe. She's it's presented in the opening sequence that she's like into jujitsu. She's training. She's a brown belt now, and that's kind of set up later when she has to take down the one thug and crack the one shoulder and that kind of stuff. So definitely a fair amount of action as well. You get all that, and you have sort of the backstory of the person funding it and really funding a lot of political corruption and protests. Like, he's going to pay people to show up to these rallies and create chaos. He's talking about Antifa. He's talking about different things that these people want. There's some confrontation. And then you have sort of like the other part of it is you have these people showing up thinking that they're going to do good, right? These do-gooders showing up in their old pickup truck. And she's trying to do her job. She's trying to keep everybody safe and do her thing. There's some good bonding between the different officers. Then it's about her going home to the family. And there's comments like, well, we put that we were a black-owned business, but that didn't seem to matter. They burned our business down. And then, of course, that's kind of what they cut to at the end. When you're at the end of the one place, look at this place is on fire. So true. So true. Out west, this is what was happening. So you get that kind of stuff, and then you basically get her home with her daughter. It's just a really great little story. It's a great representation of what actually happened here, that kind of thing. There's a funeral for the fallen officer, just what these folks go through and try to make tough decisions about whether or not they're going to move, stick with this kind of career, these kinds of things. It's just rough. Then at the end, you get like the creator biography as well, right here, and some of the pinups. Folks that are funding it. Here's the main cover, and then this is the one I'm holding, which is the Sergio Cariello. He's the variant cover artist, and then a couple of other variants. This is done by Adam Miller, and this is Dan DeMille. Right there. So that's pretty cool. And then there's a sketch of Baca by Joe Arnold in the back. So a lot of fun. But Kelly Sue DeConnick said, if you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. Well, if you don't like right-wing politics, you probably don't want to buy Mike Barron's book. But you know what? If you can't handle it coming both ways, be careful what you say and ask for, because I think it's a great, I think unlike someone who's trying to preach and be judgy, Mike was trying to capture stuff ripped right out of headlines, right out of the news. This wasn't about a lot of sort of like, it's very loaded language. It's very heavy handed, but it wasn't just out of the blue characters lecturing or whatever. It was all set within the context of who these characters were. The main characters were the main characters. In the context of that, you had the mayor behaving like the actual mayor in the Northwest. You had Antifa guys behaving like Antifa guys. You had buildings that were being burned down just like they actually got burned down. So I think that's why it feels more real and better than some of the other stuff where you have suddenly Superman giving a lecture about climate change and Batman having to be lectured to about white privilege, stuff like that. It's like, what on earth are we doing? Like, yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I'll put links there for Mike's stuff. You can connect to Mike, get yourself a copy of Thin Blue Line, get yourself hooked up with his next campaign, which I think is called Private American. He has Florida Man stuff out, tons of stuff coming out. So connect with Mike through social media outlets and his websites to get your stuff. Connect with him, Thin Blue Line. That's my review. And I'm Pops. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Rap Circle is finally here. I know